I love myself a good crossover. There is seldom a feeling one gets when two or more of their favorite things come together to create an even bigger thing. Maybe. Crossover games are like fan fiction brought to life. Which, now that I brought up the term fan fiction, we know that's not always necessarily a great thing. Some crossovers make sense, and were bound to happen eventually. Other crossovers are the product of two companies meeting at a party. Both of them are extremely drunk, and neither of them remember to bring condoms. So today, we're taking a look at those aforementioned bastard children. First and foremost, weird does not necessarily mean bad. There is a difference between the two words. I know, I'm sorry to blow your mind. Like, honestly, I think there's only, like, 2 games on this list that I genuinely do not like. But everything else it's fine. Stop it. Second, all franchises in the crossover have to be owned by separate companies. So, games like Super Smash Bros. And PlayStation All-Stars, they're off the table. Third, guest appearances and cameos do not count as crossover. At least for my list. The crossover has to be the entire point of the game. So as much as I would love to put something like Yoda showing up in Soul Calibur, or Mario showing up in NBA Street Jam Volley, whatever the fuck it's called, no dice. With all that said, let's cross over into number 10. And hopefully die. This entry would be much higher on this list, were it not for the fact that I'm already breaking one of my rules. I know, I'm really good at this YouTube thing. I hear you loud and clear. Very, very good. Professional. We've been here, what? Nothing minutes and nothing seconds. So let's try to bullshit our way out of this one anyway. So a little game came out called Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. It was a game about war, a game about nuclear weapons, a game about love, a game about death, a game about loyalty. And then Ape Escape 3 came out, and that game was about catching monkeys! Whee! So naturally, these games had so much in common that each game featured a minigame that parodied the other. Snake Eater had a minigame called Snake vs. Monkey, involving Snake going around capturing monkeys. And Ape Escape 3 had a minigame called Mesal Gear Solid Banana Eater. And this one involved a monkey named Peepo Snake infiltrating a base to rescue the actual snake. Being minigames and not completely full-fledged games, they don't quite reach my definition of true crossover, but they still go pretty above and beyond. For example, both minigames actually have cutscenes.
If you want your monkeys, you better ask Kakeru or Hikaru.
Unfortunately, they weren't available.
What about me? I was on vacation.
So you're an agent, huh? Sure are one brave little monkey. Pretty sharp eyes you've got there.
While David Hayter doesn't voice Snake in Mesal Gear for some reason, he not only does voice Snake in Snake vs. Monkey, but he imitates the overly cheery demeanors of Ape Escape's child protagonists, and it's fucking hilarious.
Gotcha! 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 Gotcha!
The locations he catches the monkeys in are actual locations from the main Snake Eater game, and despite how dramatic that game was, the monkeys still act cartoonish and goofy in this world. Remember the emotional final boss that took place in this area? The one that practically made Snake reevaluate his life and question what he fights for? Monkey Dance Party! Yeah, boy! Mesal Gear Solid obviously parodies Metal Gear's gameplay, but replaced with settings akin to those you would associate with monkeys that act like this. Come on! 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 Uh-oh. It's Revolver Apes a lot.
Alright, if I just do this, I can sneak past him and he won't notice. Whoops. Again, this would be way higher on the list if I wasn't already breaking my own self-placed rule to get it on here. So I'm putting it at number 10 to compensate a little bit, but it's still really freaking weird. And oh so great. The shame these minigames weren't included on the PS3 version of the Metal Gear Solid HD collection.
Another thing we get to shit on Konami for! Yay! Rule 34. If it exists, there's porn of it. Well, if that's the 34th rule, which one's the rule that says if it exists, there's a Monopoly version of it?
Look at how many versions of Monopoly there are! One round of Monopoly already takes an entire lifetime. You want to sell us almost 700 versions of this?
Fortune Street is essentially Monopoly. Originally a minigame in Dragon Warrior 3, it became popular enough for Yuji Horii to release it as its own series. It was exclusive to Japan for a very long time. It wasn't until 2011 when Fortune Street finally released worldwide on the Wii. This installment combined Dragon Quest and Mario, which doesn't make sense to me whether we bring up Monopoly or not. You can tell just by looking at the box art that the only character on here who could possibly get away with being associated with the Mario series is the slime. Everyone else stands out like a really, really bad hickey. This is lower on the list because outside of the characters and themed boards, you're essentially still just playing Monopoly. Whenever I played board games as a kid and didn't feel like using the playing pieces that came with the game, I'd use a bunch of figures and toys of random characters. So in my eyes, that's essentially the same thing happening here. Besides, I can't complain too much because I don't like Monopoly to begin with, and a weird combination of franchises might puzzle me enough to keep me awake longer than 20 minutes. Dengeki Bunko Fighting Climax is a fighting game that combines a bunch of characters from the light novels / manga / anime / whatever of Dengeki Bunko. Most of these guys I've never heard of. The only two franchises represented here I've seen are Sword Art Online and Spice and Wolf, and the only other one I've even vaguely heard of is Oraimo, or, this is the full English title, My Little Sister Can't Be This Cute. I mean, hey, but it's fine. Whatever you guys do in your spare time, it's not on me. I'm over here doing my own thing. It's fine. It's fine. Don't even worry about it. The game was published by Sega, but I guess they wanted a little something before agreeing to that deal, because for no reason, here comes that one guy from Virtual Fighter and that one girl from Valkyria Chronicles. Guest characters! But Chris, didn't you say no guest characters? Yeah, these two would be guest characters, and they still kind of are. But then you take a look at this game's story. The Dengeki characters are all summoned by a girl who is definitely not supposed to represent the Sega Dreamcast in any remote capacity, and she tells them to save the worlds. What worlds? Their own worlds? No, the Sega worlds, you idiots! Almost all, if not all, of the stages in this game are from Sega franchises, and yet, outside of the guest fighters and guest assists, there are no other Sega characters in this game. Yet this game is still littered with Sega stuff to the point where you really can't call it a cameo or Easter egg or what have you. It's a crossover, but without the crossover part. I don't know, that's just extremely odd to me. You have two companies worth of licenses with which to make a game, each with their own vast library of characters and worlds, but you only take the worlds from one and the characters from the other. The game is otherwise actually pretty solid. I don't know who this one character is, but she can turn her opponents into basketballs and go Barkley on their asses. That is objectively good. But a roster of half Dengeki, half Sega characters, while yes, it would not make any remote sense, when you have the ability to ham something up, sometimes you just gotta ham it the fuck up, bro. If you were planning on going halfway anyway, you may as well just go full throttle and see what happens. Plus, Sega characters are arguably the more popular of the two, and would have probably helped the game appeal to way more players who perhaps don't think their little sister is that cute. When Sega made the switch from hardware development to third-party development, they, and then rival company Nintendo, upgraded their relationship to friends with benefits.
Their respective main franchises, despite not really having much to do with each other outside of them both being platformers, are often compared to one another because they fought in the 90s once, and if it happens in the 90s, you better damn well press that like button. Fuck you, like farmers, I ain't liking shit. And it's not just because I was born in 95, so I'm only like half 90s kid, maybe. So a crossover was inevitable at some point, but at the Olympic Games. Really? The first true official crossover between two of gaming's biggest icons, whether we like it or not, and it's a minigame compilation. Now, in all fairness, I don't think these games are terrible. Most of the minigames function well and can prove fun with the right group of friends. Later games in the series had sweet remixes of memorable Mario and Sonic tunes, and the way this game came to be actually kind of makes a little sense to me. Shigeru Miyamoto and Yuji Naka, creators of Mario and Sonic respectively, had private discussions about a potential crossover, the year before Sega was given the license to the Beijing 2008 Olympic Games. The International Olympic Committee's mission was to promote a sporting spirit, and Sega adopted that, also adding on a goal to interest the younger generation in the Olympics. They decided to use their own characters, knowing they were iconic and loved by most kids. And with the friendly, competitive nature of the Olympics, Nintendo tossed their hat into the ring too, partnering with Sega in-house and providing their own characters as well. Both companies believing a setting renowned for competitive sportsmanship proved fitting for two ex-rivals.
I can get behind that. That's definitely a noble cause in a sense. But at the same time, it's not like it was a one-time thing. We're now 5 games in. Nobody, at no point in time, said, you know what, guys, maybe we want to take a one-off and go back to the genre both these guys are known for. I don't know, I'm just shitting out shit from my shit. A video game crossover I've wanted to see for a very long time is Marvel vs. DC. And I'm not even really a big comic book person. Sure, Marvel and DC have occasionally acknowledged each other in the past, but I think their most recent crossover was like 2004. I want to play a fighting game with characters from both these universes so badly, and images like this one only continue to stoke those fires. Again, I'm not even a comic book guy. Now, I have no evidence, obviously, but I like to personally imagine that Marvel and DC were about to get a thing going, but then some pipsqueak named Capcom came up one day and was just like, no, Marvel, fight me, I want to fight me. And then Marvel wanted Capcom to shut up, so Marvel said fine. About 7 times.
Capcom has had crossover fighters, and crossovers in general, with a bunch of other franchises and companies, but out of all of them, for me, Marvel takes the cake. This crossover is nonsensical for really one reason. While the Capcom side certainly does have a plethora of characters who are plenty powerful in their own right, the Marvel side has that times a bajillion. And that's a rough estimate. Seriously, have you read up on the histories and abilities of even half the Marvel side? Wesker, honey, listen, I love you, but run. Run right— Oh, you're gonna point a handgun at Magneto. Adorable. Yeah, I know, it's a fighting game. Half the fun is watching Phoenix Wright kill fucking Wolverine with a sneeze, but it's still hard not to look at this and just laugh at how absurd it is sometimes.
I don't know a single franchise from this next game. I've never even played it. I'm only including this game for one reason, and one reason only. Can you possibly figure out what the reason is?
So, can you move, Uru? Karen?
Wow, I really can't move my body.
What did you do, Nicole?
Oh, the wheel in the sky keeps on turning. Oh my god, the voice acting's so bad it's breaking the game! For all I know, this is a fantastic game. For all I know, the original Japanese voice acting is absolutely fine. But, as a TV Tropes page I found accurately puts it,
it has an excellent combat system and features appearances by many interesting and beloved characters, but all anyone ever talks about is the ridiculously poor localization.
And it's true. That's what I'm doing. That's what I planned to do before even finding out that's what everyone talks about. I am a sheep. Every time I hear about this game, it usually includes...
I'm gonna hurt you badly. I mean really badly.
And it's not just bad voice acting. The voice actors aren't even actual voice actors. Most, if not all, the credited individuals share last names with members of the publishing team, strongly implying nepotism, most likely to cut costs of hiring people who are the exact opposite of whoever the hell is voicing Karen.
Screaming! It came from the bag alley.
It feels a little weird to put this here solely based on localization and not for any actual inherent issues with the crossover itself. But what else is weird is none of the 4 companies whose characters appear in the game thought to go, oh hey, maybe we should hire voice actors.
What? I didn't see that coming at all.
Yeah, you knew this one was showing up, and I'm not gonna pretend I'm a goddamn genius for including it. I'm gonna pretend I'm a goddamn genius for a bunch of other things, but not this one. I think at least a few of even the most die-hard Kingdom Hearts fanatics will say, yeah, that elevator where Hashimoto had that chance meeting with the Disney executive that got this whole thing rolling in the first place, it looks something like this. The plot to your average Disney movie goes something like this. Main character is misunderstood. A villain just kinda moseys on in and it's just another thing they gotta add to their shit I gotta deal with today list. They sing a couple musical numbers, they end up banging somebody, and then they get a shitty straight-to-DVD sequel a few years down the line, the end. The plot to your average Final Fantasy game goes something like this. Collect a bunch of garbage, grind for 10 hours, go kill God, zippers, the end. Okay, fine, they once had musical numbers too, but we don't talk about that one. Someone looked at this and said, you know, this is great. I like what we got so far. It's just missing Winnie the Pooh. Give him a zipper. There we go. To the game's credit, they don't shove Final Fantasy down your throat. Disney is focused on more, by comparison, but Disney World serve as a backdrop to, and feel free to fight me on this, the dumbest fucking plot I've ever bore witness to. I don't care how many beloved characters you sprinkle in, and I don't care how good the gameplay almost always is. Fact of the matter is this. We are currently 10 games and counting. Over a time period of 15 years and counting. That is almost 75% of my lifetime for one story. I don't think it's a very good story. Back in a Nintendo Direct in 2013, a crossover was announced between Fire Emblem and Shin Megami Tensei. I'm more familiar with the Fire Emblem side of things. Only real thing I know about Tensei is at one point you fight a penis, and a vagina, and another penis, because of course that's the only thing I would know. When the crossover was first announced, it looked to me like the two fit together nicely, and even I was interested in how it turned out. But then, nothing. Silence on the project for about 2 years. Then the game was shown once again, and... oh crap. I'm sorry guys, I think I turned on the wrong game trailer. That's odd. Let me just do another search real quick and... no, that was the right one? Alright, maybe they're going somewhere with this. Yep! They were going somewhere with it, alright! Atlus, I need you to maybe run this one by Nintendo one more time, and or vice versa. I think a return to the drawing board is in order, and they fucking sing too! God damn it! Where's any of this? Or this? Oh, wait, never mind. They got that part. That was the most important part. Okay, guys, everything's fine. Crossovers a go. This game isn't even out in the States yet, and I can already tell you, this is one of the weirdest crossovers I've ever seen in my life.
Sometimes, one of the best parts of an RPG is its style, and no one understands that quite like Atlus.
You're right, Bill. I don't understand it. At all. I'm sure it has its fans, will have its fans, and it'll be a fun game in its own merits, but I can already tell it's not going to be my thing. I'm just going to go ahead and make sure this isn't my starting point with Shin Megami Tensei. If and whenever that happens.
DC, just because Marvel and Capcom ran off and did a thing and it actually turned out okay, doesn't mean you can run up to any old video game company and magically do the same exact thing.
So Mortal Kombat vs. DC Universe was a game that happened.
Like, I know people ask for a lot of really crazy shit in their lifetime, but you cannot tell me anyone's ever consciously asked for this. Not to mention, a T-rated Mortal Kombat game. That by itself, even just disacknowledging the crossover part. I mean, a T-rated, whether we like it or not, whether you like it or not, Mortal Kombat is all about the blood and gore. To have a T-rated Mortal Kombat game, it should not even be a tangible thing. Let alone with characters who make it a scout's honor not to kill people in a game about killing people. Hi!
Green Lantern wins. Heroic brutality.
Yeah, about that, they're dead. You can add as many rainbows and fairy dust to the term that you want, but if this is a fatality...
Kano wins. Fatality.
Then this is especially a fatality. The game's story, while admittedly entertaining enough for a single playthrough, is still pretty mediocre. And once you get past the novelty of the Joker getting a shot in on Scorpion like this...
Oops! Where did that come from?
There's nothing much beyond that. The game actually did okay sales and review-wise, but it ultimately didn't stick around for long. And neither did Midway. They filed for bankruptcy, got bought by Warner Bros. Interactive, turned into NetherRealm Studios, and made 2 excellent Mortal Kombat games with guest characters that actually make a lick of sense. And they also made an excellent DC fighting game, but couldn't help themselves a tiny, tiny bit. Another reason the Metal Gear / Ape Escape minigames were lower on the list? It's not the weirdest crossover Snake's been in. What if I told you there was a game where you could pit Solid Snake against Optimus Prime? Look, guys, I know Snake's taken out tons of Metal Gears, but Transformers are an entirely different ballgame. DreamMix TV World Fighters at first glance looks like a Smash Bros. Clone. And honestly, I wish it was a Smash Bros. Clone. I've watched gameplay footage of this for like 2 hours, and I still have no idea how the hell you play this. At least we know why Snake's high tier in Brawl. He had some serious practice beforehand. Fighters include the aforementioned Solid Snake and Optimus Prime. We've also got Simon Belmont, Bomberman, and this evil doll. And battles take place on such locations as a marine oil decontamination facility taken over by terrorists that house a giant mobile fortress capable of controlling nuclear warheads, to Barbie's Playhouse. The game was released exclusively in Japan, and I haven't quite decided whether that's a good or bad thing yet.
Another thing we get to shit on Konami for?
Oh hey, you watched the video all the way through, that's pretty cool. I was thinking about doing a bit to end this video where like I brought in a guest, to bring the whole crossover theme home, but that would imply that I actually have friends. Anyway, here's some more videos if you want to watch. Maybe if you want to subscribe, that'd be pretty dope too. I have a Twitter, so if that's a thing you do. I occasionally post updates and also nonsense. Bye.